Lovely viewers, today's story is one that will surely touch your hearts and make you reflect deeply on the realities behind the glitz and glamour of fame. We are going to journey into the vulnerable side of one of Korea's most admired actresses, the iconic Song Hye Kyo, as she opens up about the deep scars left by her first marriage. Many of us know her as the Queen of Grace, the elegant beauty who lights up every screen with her presence. But behind that radiant smile lies a woman who has endured pain, heartbreak, and the kind of silent battles most people never imagine celebrities go through. And today, I want us to walk through her emotions together as though we are right there listening to her voice, feeling her tears and understanding her soul. Imagine being at the top of your career, admired by millions around the world, your every move followed by cameras, your name constantly in headlines. And then in the midst of all that spotlight, your personal life unravels in front of the entire world. That is the weight Song Hye Kyo carried during her first marriage. To many fans, her union with Song Joong-ki seemed like a fairy tale, a dream pairing straight out of a drama script. They looked perfect together, their chemistry undeniable, their story something that even non-K-drama fans followed with admiration. But behind closed doors, cracks began to appear, and soon the world learned that the love story that had enchanted millions was falling apart. In her recent reflections, Song Hye Kyo admitted that the scars from that marriage were not just shallow wounds, but deep, emotional cuts that stayed with her long after the divorce. She described it as a time where she felt stripped of her identity, where every word about her in the media seemed like an attack, and where every smile she forced on the outside hid a storm raging within her. And as she spoke, tears welled in her eyes, because for her, the divorce was not just an end of a marriage, it was the shattering of trust, the loss of hope, and the painful confrontation with reality. Lovely viewers, think about how many times we've seen celebrities smiling on red carpets, waving at fans, while deep down they are fighting silent battles. Song Hye Kyo confessed that during her first marriage, she tried hard to maintain a brave face, to hold on to the image the world expected from her. But at night when the cameras were gone and the world was silent, she broke down, alone, overwhelmed by fear and sadness. She said the loneliness was the hardest part. To the world, she was surrounded by fame and love, but in her private moments, she felt like she had no one who truly understood her. One of the most heartbreaking things she revealed was how her trust in love was fractured. She admitted that she had always been someone who believed deeply in romance, who gave her heart fully when she loved, but after her marriage ended, she felt afraid to open her heart again. Every time she thought about love, she remembered the pain, the betrayal, the disappointment, and it scared her. She said it was like carrying invisible chains around her heart, chains she didn't know how to break free from. And yet, she also expressed hope that time, healing, and true love could one day help her open up again. Viewers, let me pause and ask you, have you ever experienced heartbreak so deep that it changed the way you saw love itself? Many of you might be nodding right now, remembering moments when you too felt like giving up on love after betrayal or disappointment. And that's why Song Hye Kyo's story resonates so powerfully, because though she is a superstar, her emotions mirror ours. She is human just like us, carrying wounds that need healing. She also shared that during her marriage, she often sacrificed her own needs for the sake of peace, for the sake of keeping the relationship intact, even when she was hurting inside. But over time, she realized that suppressing her pain only made the scars deeper. She admitted that one of her biggest regrets was not speaking up more, not asserting her emotions, and not protecting her own happiness. Her voice trembled as she said, "I thought love meant enduring everything in silence, but I was wrong. True love doesn't silence you, it hears you." Lovely friends, that statement alone carries so much wisdom. How many of us have stayed quiet in relationships just to avoid conflict, only to end up hurting ourselves? Song Hye Kyo's tears remind us that love should never demand the loss of your voice or your identity. Instead, love should celebrate who you are, not strip you of it. As she recounted those memories, she admitted there were nights when she questioned her worth, when she wondered if she had failed as a wife, as a woman, as someone capable of keeping love alive. The pressure was unbearable, especially with the whole world watching her every move. And for a time, she sank into despair, losing confidence not only in love but in herself. But what makes Song Hye Kyo so inspiring is her resilience. Despite the deep scars, she chose not to stay broken. She chose to rise, to rebuild herself piece by piece, even if it took years. Her honesty about the healing process touched so many hearts. She said healing didn't happen overnight. It was a slow journey, filled with setbacks and tears, but also small victories. For her, healing meant rediscovering who she was outside of the marriage, reconnecting with her passions, leaning on true friends, and giving herself permission to grieve. She admitted that there were days she would just sit by her window, let the tears flow, and tell herself it was okay to not be okay. And slowly, day by day, she began to feel lighter. And this is where the strength of song Hye Kyo shines the most. She did not let her scars define her, but rather she let them teach her. She explained that the scars remind her of what she survived, of the strength she never knew she had, and of the importance of choosing herself no matter what. When she finally opened up publicly about this pain, it was not to gain sympathy, but to remind others that even in the darkest moments, healing is possible. Now, viewers, imagine being in her position. Imagine millions of eyes on you, with everyone forming opinions about your private life, with rumors swirling, and with strangers judging your every choice. The pressure is unimaginable, and yet she carried it with dignity. Her tears are not a sign of weakness but a sign of humanity, a reminder that behind the flawless actress is a woman who has felt broken and rebuilt herself with courage. Her story teaches us so much, not just about love and marriage, but about resilience, self-worth, and healing. She encourages others not to fear their scars but to embrace them as part of their journey. And today, as she looks forward, she holds on to hope. Hope that one day love will find her again. Hope that her heart will learn to trust again. And hope that her scars, though deep, will no longer bring her pain but wisdom. Song Hye Kyo admitted that at first, she did not want to talk about her past marriage at all. She avoided interviews, avoided questions, and even avoided conversations with close friends about what she went through. She feared that if she opened up, her pain would be misunderstood or twisted into gossip. And truly, in a world where everything a celebrity says can be spun into sensational headlines, her fear was justified. Yet, over time, she realized that silence was eating her up inside. She realized that by keeping everything bottled up, she was carrying an unbearable weight on her shoulders alone. One day, she looked in the mirror and asked herself a question. Why am I afraid of my own truth? That question stayed with her. It was at that moment she decided that speaking out, even with tears, was not weakness, it was freedom. She described the first time she truly opened up about her scars as a breaking of chains. For the first time, she allowed herself to be vulnerable in front of the world, not as Song Hye Kyo the superstar, but as Song Hye Kyo the woman, the human being who loved, lost, and still carried wounds. And dear friends, isn't that something we can all relate to? Many of us have things we've buried deep, things we don't want to talk about because we're afraid of judgment. But Song Hye Kyo reminds us that truth sets us free, that sharing our stories, even with trembling voices, can help us heal and also inspire others to heal. She explained that the hardest part about her scars was not the divorce itself, but the aftermath. When the relationship officially ended, she thought that would bring closure. But instead, it opened the floodgates of loneliness. Suddenly, her routines changed. She no longer had someone to text in the morning or to share the small joys of life with. Even though she was surrounded by people on set or at events, she felt an emptiness inside that no spotlight could fill. She said her house felt too quiet, and the silence often brought back painful memories. Lovely viewers, can you picture that? A woman admired by millions, living in a beautiful home, yet sitting alone at night in tears because the silence reminded her of loss. It's a reality that shows us that material things, fame, and even success cannot replace genuine companionship and love. At one point, she said she even questioned whether she deserved love at all. The thought terrified her. She asked herself if maybe she wasn't good enough, if maybe she had failed in ways that made her unworthy of lasting happiness. But then, in one of the most powerful moments of her reflection, she said, I realized love failing doesn't mean I am a failure. It means I am human. Viewers, how powerful is that? Let's pause here. Have you ever blamed yourself for something that ended? Have you carried guilt thinking it was all your fault? Song Hye Kyo's words remind us that relationships are complex, that sometimes things fall apart not because we failed, but because two people's paths were not meant to walk together forever. That doesn't diminish our worth. It simply reminds us that life has other plans. She also revealed that there were moments she wished she could run away from the public eye completely. She fantasized about disappearing to a small town, living quietly without cameras or expectations, just so she could heal in peace. But she stayed because she also realized her work gave her strength. Acting became her therapy. Through characters, she channeled emotions she couldn't express in her own life. And in a way, every tear she shed on screen became a release of tears she couldn't shed in public. For her, acting wasn't just a career. It became a bridge back to herself. And that, lovely friends, is something we can all learn from. Sometimes healing comes not from running away, but from embracing what makes us feel alive again. For Song Hye Kyo, her art was her refuge. For you, it might be writing, singing, painting, praying, or even simply spending time in nature. Whatever it is, the key is finding that safe space that helps your heart breathe again. What's even more touching is how she spoke about forgiveness. She admitted that for a long time, anger consumed her. She was angry at her former partner, angry at herself, and angry at the world. But she realized that anger was only keeping her chained to the past. So, little by little, she began the process of forgiving, not to erase the scars, but to release herself from the poison of bitterness. She said, "Forgiveness didn't come in one day. Some days I felt like I had forgiven, and the next day I felt angry again. But I kept trying, and that effort itself was healing." Viewers, think about that. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay. It's about choosing peace over pain. Song Hye Kyo's tears during this part of her confession showed that forgiveness is messy. It's imperfect, but it's necessary. She also opened up about the lessons she learned from the marriage. One of the biggest lessons, she said, was the importance of self-love. Before, she often prioritized the relationship over herself. But now, she understands that loving yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. Because if you lose yourself in love, you lose the ability to truly give and receive love. Imagine her sitting there, with her soft voice and glistening eyes, saying these words. It's not just a celebrity talking. It's a woman who went through fire and came out wiser. And her vulnerability makes every word even more powerful. Lovely viewers, what I find so moving is how Song Hye Kyo uses her pain not as a reason to hide, but as a reason to connect. She knows there are countless people out there carrying scars of their own. Scars from failed marriages, broken relationships, betrayals, or losses. And by sharing her story, she's telling all of us, you are not alone. And doesn't that give you comfort too? To know that even someone as adored as Song Hye Kyo has cried the same kind of tears you may have cried. It makes us realize that no one is immune to heartbreak. And no one is above the need for healing. She admitted that even now, she sometimes feels the scars ache, like an old wound that never fully disappears. But instead of letting that discourage her, she sees it as a reminder of her strength. I survived this, she whispers to herself, and that reminder fuels her courage to keep moving forward. Lovely friends, think about your own scars. They may not be visible, but they are there. Instead of hiding them in shame, what if we looked at them as badges of survival, proof that we endured and lived through something that could have broken us completely? That's the perspective Song Hye Kyo wants to share, and that's why her openness is so inspiring. She has also spoken about how much her fans' love has helped her heal. She said there were times she felt like giving up, but then she would read letters from fans or see their support, and it reminded her that her life had purpose beyond her pain. The connection she feels with those who admire her gave her strength to keep shining, even on days when she wanted to hide. Viewers, isn't it beautiful to know that our love and support can make such a difference in someone's life? Imagine all the fans around the world who might have thought their messages didn't matter, but in truth, they were helping her heal. It reminds us that kindness, even small gestures, can have an impact greater than we imagine. And as she looks toward the future, Song Hye Kyo admits that while she is cautious about love, she is not closed to it. She says she hopes one day to find a love that is gentle, kind, and understanding. She hopes that the scars of the past will not prevent her from receiving the happiness she deserves. And in her words, there is a quiet hopefulness, like the first light after a long night.